Saw dudes, Protea Prime has been released and she is everything you could want for a do-it-all Warframe. Parvos Grandham's Bodyguard is amazing solo and with teams, bringing everything you could possibly want. Want to defend a point? Bring Protea. Want to have a mobile firing squad? Bring Protea. Want to provide healing, energy, and ammo for your team? Bring Protea. She is easily a top 10 Warframe and is easy to pick up. Now less yapping and more build crafting. Let's get started. Let's begin with an overview of Protea's abilities. If you already know how the frame works, feel free to skip to the build section. Her passive causes every 4 ability casts to receive an additive 100% bonus ability strength. The recorder on the HUD shows how many abilities needed to reach the next bonus and will glow according to your energy color when ready. After using an ability with full charge, the meter empties and the cycle repeats. Keep in mind that this passive does not get reset upon being nullified, so get in there and murk that guy. Protea's first ability is Grenade Fan, which is really 2 abilities in 1. Tapping the ability button releases a shrapnel vortex, which causes the grenades to spin shrapnel at high velocity in a set radius. This version throws out a fan of 3 grenades with a 45-degree gap between each. Enemies caught in the radius suffer slash damage per second with a 33% status chance per tick and 100% stagger chance per tick. This ability does not need line of sight to deal damage. Holding the ability releases 4 shield satellite grenades at a 45-degree and 25-degree split from the reticle. Once the grenades hit the ground, they will hover for 13 seconds and attach to the nearest ally within 5 meters. Upon attachment, the grenade will instantly restore 500 shield points. While attached, it will provide 50 shield points per second, capping at the overshield limit. If all shields are broken while the grenade is attached, it will provide a 2 times minimum shield gate invincibility duration and be destroyed. This is a massive survivability tool for us and allies and will save you in harder content. Remember that this ability does not affect Inaros, Nidus, or Kullervo. Her second ability is Blaze Artillery. Casting the ability causes Protea to release the turret from her belt, facing it towards the reticle. The Blaze Artillery turret will hover in place for 3 seconds, acquiring all targets in line of sight, 30 meters, and a 130-degree frontal cone. The turrets have a fire rate of 3 shots per second. 3 can be on the field at a time, with recasting removing the oldest. Shots from the turrets have infinite body punch through, deal 500 heat damage with a 100% status chance in the 2-meter radius, and increase in overall damage by 100% for each successful hit against all enemies caught in the plasma stream. This means that it excels against group enemies since it can stack quicker and deal more damage throughout its duration. Dispensary is Protea's third ability. Activating this ability causes Protea to place a dispensary supply cache at her current location, which lasts for 25 seconds. Initially, the cache will supply 3 particular pickups in order every 3 seconds. A health orb that restores 100 health, a universal ammo pack, and an energy orb. There's a 25% chance for the dispensary to spawn an additional pickup every 3 seconds, which scales with power strength. Finally, we have Temporal Anchor. In simple terms, it acts like Tracer's Recall from Overwatch. On cast, Protea creates a Temporal Anchor snapshotting her current position. Afterwards, she is free to act and stores 25% of each damage instance dealt. Upon the anchor expiring, all the damage stored is released as blast damage within line of sight. Once the detonation occurs, Protea returns to her original position, along with her ammo, energy, shields, health points, and combo counter being restored to the amount saved by her anchor. If Protea takes lethal damage while the anchor is up, all the damage is lost, and she rewinds back to the anchor, suffering a knockdown. Her health is set to 5% of her max capacity. Protea's game loop is fairly straightforward. First off, you will want to use the shield satellites from Grenade Fan to grant yourself a safety net. The extra shields and shield gating is a massive help in harder content. Next, find an area to place your dispensary, then wait for the pickups to spawn. After that, find enemies, spam Shrapnel Vortex, and mow them down with Blaze Artillery. When you're comfortable, use Temporal Anchor to apply a Z Deathmark. Rinse and repeat. Today's video has 2 main build variants, a non-Helminth build with Temporal Erosion and a Helminth setup. There are timestamps so you can view each faster. First, we have the non-Helminth setup, which is great for all areas of the game, minus factions with little to no armor like the Corpus and Infested. Because Protea has a universal aura polarity, you can slot in any aura you want. However, I chose to use Growing Power for the extra ability strength to buff our abilities. As a side note, please do not use Brief Respite as it will mess up shield gating provided by our shield satellites. The Exilus slot can be used for almost anything. I like Cunning Drift for the extra range and slide distance, but other options include Power Drift, Handspring, or the usual Prime Sure-Footed. Onto the main mod section. Prime Continuity grants us enough ability duration to sustain our abilities for a reasonable amount of time. Transient Fortitude increases our ability strength more, which increases our shield regen from shield satellites, Blaze Artillery damage, and the extra pickup chance from Dispensary. Stretch increases our ability range for better coverage from Shrapnel Vortex, Blaze Artillery, and Temporal Anchor. Prime Flow increases our energy reserves so that we can spam more abilities without rationing. Temporal Erosion is the augment mod for the build and causes Grenade Fan and Blaze Artillery to remove 10% armor from enemies while Temporal Anchor is active. This armor strip does scale with ability strength, meaning having a decent amount will accelerate defense stripping. Keep in mind though that you need to have Temporal Anchor active to even make the augment work. so you might want to get used to it. Next up, we have Archon Vitality, which causes abilities that inflict heat status procs to inflict one additional heat proc that deals the same damage. This mod essentially doubles the damage we will get from heat procs applied by Blaze Artillery. You can leave this mod unranked for the same effect. Rolling Guard serves as a failsafe in case we suffer a Toxin proc or any damage over time. If our shield gating fails, we can roll to give ourselves 3 seconds of invulnerability. Finally, we have Equilibrium, which eliminates all possible energy problems. Since Dispensary releases energy orbs and health orbs, we will have constant health and energy regen. The empowered health orb that gets released heals for 100 HP, which will then grant us 110 energy thanks to Equilibrium. Any extra pickups will recuperate energy losses more and more. The only alteration for this build is replacing the Exilus mod with another augment, Repair Dispensary. This augment causes Dispensary to create pickups that heal companions for 20% of their maximum health and reduce their incapacitation timer by 12 seconds. Companions are super easy to kill and level cap content, so having this augment can significantly decrease their downtime, allowing you to keep their buffs active for more time. Build 2 is for Helminth setups and admittedly is very similar to the other two builds. I would suggest subsuming an ability over Temporal Anchor since we will not be using Temporal Erosion on this build. The aura is up to you. I only use Steel Charge because of space issues. I would still recommend using Growing Power in this slot if you can fit it in since it benefits all of our main abilities. The Exilus mod can be anything once again. If you want to use Repair Dispensary, go for it. The other options, like Prime Sure-Footed, Handspring, and Power Drift, still stand. Instead of using Temporal Erosion, we're going to use Umbrella Intensify to further increase ability strength. This will increase the effectiveness of all of our abilities and make our Helminth ability even stronger. No matter what, do not use Augur Secrets in this slot to save space. It will mess up your shield gating and will likely get you killed in high level content. Okay, now let's talk about Helminth abilities. As previously mentioned, you should subsume an ability over Temporal Anchor. While Protea's ultimate is nice as a safeguard, we already have plenty of safety from our shield satellites and Rolling Guard. Using it can be clunky and honestly does not help that much in level cap areas. The best options are Larva, Roar, Pillage, and Terrify. Larva is perfect for grouping enemies, which is especially useful for allowing Blaze Artillery to stack damage quickly. The Ragdoll effect on this ability keeps enemies tightly grouped, allowing each shot to stack the damage bonus faster than other options. Keep in mind that you need to have good placement of the ability to make the most out of it. Next we have Roar. Roar is a straight up damage bonus, but is factored in twice for damage over time. The heat procs from Blaze Artillery will do the bulk of the damage at higher levels, which Roar can double dip. This does mean that you won't have a grouping ability, but that's not the end of the world since you have a souped up trio of turrets. Pillage is the next option and is capable of stripping armor and shields. It does require 400% strength to full strip, so it will likely take 2 casts to completely remove defenses. However, it does have the added benefit of returning shields on recast, meaning that we now have 2 shield gating failsafes. I would use this ability if you plan to have an easy time against nearly all factions. Finally, we have Terrify, a defense stripping and crowd control ability. This ability can full strip armor at 167% ability strength, which is fairly easy to hit. It also causes enemies to run away, giving you some breathing room if you get into a bad situation. Onto the Arcanes. The best arcane options for Protea are Arcane Steadfast, Molt Augmented, and Molt Efficiency. There are other non-specific options that I will discuss as well. Arcane Steadfast is great for reducing energy problems further. This arcane causes an ability cast to have a 20% chance that the next 3 abilities will not cost energy. Essentially, it's a cheaper version of Arcane Energize that synergizes well with her passive. Since Protea prints energy regardless, this is just a good quality of life arcane. If you don't have energy issues, you don't need to use this. Then we have Molt Augmented, which adds ability strength on each kill. I highly suggest using this arcane above other options since ability strength is crucial for scaling. Extra ability strength is great for survivability and damage. Molt Efficiency increases ability duration, which, just like ability strength, helps all of our abilities out. Increasing the duration of our abilities decreases the number of recasts needed to sustain ability loops, making our energy expenditure lower overall. Onto the non-specific recommendations. As usual, if you want to increase weapon damage, you can use the respective arcane. However, I advise against replacing Molt Augmented, since that arcane is pretty much a free 60% ability strength and endurance runs. For reference, I run Molt Augmented and Molt Efficiency together all the time. The best focus school for most situations is Madurai. I would not suggest running Xeneric at all since the energy gains are worthless with Dispensary. Power Transfer makes casting abilities and proccing Protea's passive much easier. Extra casting speed is pretty nice for Grenade Fan and Blaze Artillery. It also decreases the probability that you will die once your shields give out since you can now top them off faster with a faster casting speed. Sling Strength is perfect for increasing ability strength and is pretty easy to activate. I find it especially useful when trying to build up energy stores at the start of missions. Just Void Dash twice into the floor, use Dispensary, and wait for the energy to come rolling in. Let's talk about Archon shards. The best Archon shard choices are Amber for casting speed, Crimson for ability duration or strength, and Emerald for corrosive armor strip. I highly suggest using at least one Tauforge Amber Shard to increase casting speed. This is great for general quality of life and saves us a mod slot that would otherwise be taken up by natural talent. The other mod slots can be taken up by Crimson Shards, either for ability duration or strength. I went all in on duration because I'm a lazy boy, but if you want to get more damage, go for a mix of strength. The extra duration will allow the Blaze Artillery turrets to stack for longer, resulting in more damage, so keep that in mind. Lastly, Emerald Shards are great for stripping armor. Of course, this will require you to use a weapon with corrosive damage and a decently high status chance. I prefer to use an Epitaph or Kuva Nucor with secondary Encumber. Fully stripping enemies of armor is absolutely nuts for Blaze Artillery, so keep it in mind if you have weapon preferences. Alright everyone, that's pretty much it for the video. I want to apologize for getting the video out so late. School has been somewhat annoying, and I've been trying to get my mental health channel off the ground. I appreciate the ongoing support, and I hope to make more content going forward. Keep your eyes out for a level cap run. Let me know what you guys think. If you have any suggestions or thoughts, leave them in the comments. As always, thank you all for watching and happy farming. Stay safe.